Hey everybody, what is up, and welcome back to another list with the TheMKninja. Gurren Lagann. I've talked about this show more than probably any other show in both my daily, regular life and on my channel. And considering that I did a top 5 favorite anime list where I explained why Gurren Lagann is my favorite show of all time, well, do I have to explain it again? Yes, I do. Gurren Lagann has this energy and epicness to it that helps it stand out from pretty much any other show that I've watched, with fantastic and memorable characters, a larger-than-life story, great animation, great themes, great lessons, and it's quotable as hell. So inspired by the Nostalgia Critics list on the best and worst Avatar: The Last Airbender episodes, which is his favorite show, and also one of mine. I mean, come on, it's fantastic. I'll be revisiting my favorite show once again, trying to discern which episodes are the best in my opinion. Originally, this was going to be a top 5, but fuck that, it's Gurren Lagann. I'll decide to do 8 instead. Now, every episode has something to offer, and are entertaining. Yes, even episode 4, at least in my opinion. I don't hate episode 4, but obviously some episodes are more entertaining than others. The hierarchy of episodes. As always, this is entirely my opinion. Please write yours in the comments below, but be nice about it. If you are not, I will delete them. Anyway, these are my top 8 favorite Gurren Lagann episodes. Number 8. Episode 6. Sit in the hot tub till you're sick. I know what you're thinking. Oh boy, he picked the fan service episode. I wonder why he liked this one. If you say that, you've probably never seen it, because we really only see the girls for a very limited time. There's probably more fan service for girls than boys in this episode. But the reason I like it is because it's hilarious. This is probably the funniest episode in the whole show, with a lot of comedy coming from just these great characters working off of each other. And it has so much energy, even though not much plot-wise is happening. The last few minutes are so incredibly fast that it's insane. And my favorite moment is how it looks like they're going with the damsel in distress cliche, and Yoko is all like, fuck that shit, and frees herself along with the other girls. It's moments like that that make this show so damn good. Number 7. Episode 25, I Accept Your Last Wish. A lot of the peril that Team Daiguren goes through on their voyage in space has a lot of weight to it, losing precious team members along the way. But in my opinion, this episode is probably the strongest out of that group. There is plenty of great suspense with a lot of more lives on the line, having the entire ship be at stake. And of course, fans know that Keaton ultimately sacrifices himself heroically in order to save everyone. It's a wonderful completion of a great character's arc. Keaton has always been a great asset to the team, and even a voice of reason at many times, despite having a big ego and attitude rivaling that of Kamina. This episode is a pretty big ride, both in the action and the emotions. Number 6. Episode 13. Eat up, everyone. This episode brings up an interesting idea for a character, with Nia trying to find a role to fill in the team even though everyone says she doesn't really need to. And true, the role she ends up taking isn't necessarily a rather epic one, but it helps her feel like she fits in, which helps build her character. And the funniest part is that everyone gets so excited to taste her cooking since she becomes the team cook, but they're interrupted by one of the generals, Cytomander. They have to go do action stuff. And one idea that I think really works is that since Rossiu is sick, Yoko pilots Gurren instead, and more Yoko is always great in my opinion. The action is pretty damn diverse, and Cytomander's breakdown is rather funny, and the payoff of Nia's food being awful to everyone except Simone and Buddha is a pretty funny one. Number 5. Episode 3. Who do you think you are, having two faces? In my opinion, this episode is important for many reasons. The first reason is because that it introduces the Beastman, Vero, who is a really great character and has a vital role in the series as an antagonist, rival, and later friend. The second being that it finally gives Kamina and the group a worthy opponent. Up until this point, there weren't really many moments of suspense, which is fine, it's only episode 3. Here we see Kamina and Simone struggling to defeat an enemy, only winning when they come across a new ability. Which leads to the third reason why it's important, the first Gurren Lagann transformation. The titular mech that we see throughout the series makes its first appearance in this episode, and it's super satisfying. It all wraps into an episode that has a lot of firsts, and is still plenty of fun. Number 4. Episode 8. Later, buddy. When talking to fans, there are certain moments that can be very divisive, as with any fan base of a show. Kamina's death is certainly one of them. A large majority of Gurren Lagann fans, including myself, love Kamina, and he still remains my favorite character ever. So why is this here? Because it has him dying. Well, because it's gripping and intense, and it shows that there will still be consequences to fighting. It's not just a breeze from start to finish. This is where Team Daiguren decides to step up and finally get a new base to become even stronger, so a lot is at stake. There are a lot of really great action sequences featuring just about all of Team Daiguren's members and their gunmen, as well as one of my favorite moments in the series, which is Kamina and Yoko kissing. It's a really touching and sweet moment, and the tragic ending of the episode is truly very saddening, which makes it all the more powerful and gives our heroes more motivation. Rest in peace, Kamina. Number 3. Episode 21. You are someone who ought to survive. When I got to the adult arc of the show, I kept wondering where the hell Yoko was and when she would just show up. She's one of my favorite characters ever, both in the show and just in general. It took quite a bit when this episode centered entirely around her showed up. It did not disappoint me. It's a great look at Yoko as a character, and we see her in an entirely new light, as a teacher, and it shows just how great of a character she is without being a badass, as she evolves and goes along a new path, connecting with kids and trying her best to help the world in a different, more peaceful way, influenced by her experiences in the past. But of course, trouble shows up again, and Yoko has to be the badass once more, and damn, is it really fun to watch. This action scene is super awesome. And sure, her educational puns are a bit much, but it's still awesome as hell, and I could watch it over and over again and still enjoy it. You go, girl. Number 2. Episode 15. I Will Head Towards Tomorrow. This is everything that the child arc has been leading up to. Freedom for humanity by overthrowing the Spiral King, even if they don't know that their actions will have major consequences. It's great to see Simon become a capable leader, following in Kamina's footsteps while still being his own character. And there is plenty of really good action here, with humans from different parts of the world being inspired by Team Daiguren and fighting along with them. And the battle between Simon and Lord Genome is intense and epic. It's probably one of the best anime fights ever in my opinion. It gets brutal and vicious, and by the end, when they finally win, it feels earned, and it feels so good as everyone has succeeded. And you could have easily ended the show here and have it still be fantastic. But they didn't, and in many ways I'm glad they didn't. Still, this episode is pretty damn good. With a show this good, there obviously has to be some honorable mentions, so here they are. Episode 11, Simon Hands Off. This one has some really great character building with Simon and shows him giving his epic speech that finally has him coming out of his shell and taking his rightful place as leader. Episode 5, I Don't Get It, Not One Bit. We get a good taste for how hard living in the pits can be with this episode and a lot of really great Kamina moments, and we're also introduced to a new main character, Rosyu. Episode 20, How Far Will God Test Us? It's interesting to see Simon continue to go through hardships so many years later, but it definitely helps build his character. Also, his interactions with Viral are pretty great. Plus, Yoko comes back at the end, but episode 21 is better for that. Number 1. Episode 27. The lights in the sky are stars. Yeah, bite me. The final episode is number 1, but I couldn't help it. This is what everything was leading up to. The final evolution of our heroes and the main conflict. The biggest of the human race. Their very survival at stake. This episode has some seriously over-the-top and ridiculous action to the nth degree, and I fucking love it because it's so goddamn epic. Watching these characters triumph in the end after so much hardship is so damn satisfying. Now, the same reason I love episode 8 is also why I love this episode, because it shows that conflict will inevitably bring loss. Nia's death is peaceful as she is surrounded by her friends and gets to marry the one she loves. But it's still sad and is heavy in our hearts. And then when we see what happens to the human race in the future, we get to see Simon as an older man, content with his position. While not the ending many of us were hoping for, it's still memorable, and in its own special way, it is very hopeful, and it's still happy. So, those were my top 8 favorite episodes of Gurren Lagann. There will not be a worst episodes because I don't think there is anything that's bad. You can even debate episode 4, but still, I don't hate any episodes in Gurren Lagann. It's a fantastic show. And I'm not going to do like the worst of the best. I'm not going to do that. It's just going to be this one, the best. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please go ahead and make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out my other videos. Also make sure to check my supporters, all that great stuff. And I will see you guys next time.